Are y'all here? Did y'all pull up your
Yes.
chair? Do you wish to sit down at this table? I hope you do. So, welcome to Let's Bring It to the Table, where we discuss ways to improve our lives by addressing issues that affect us. Directly affect us. Today, we have the gorgeous Mimi Decor on, and we have Mr. Logan on. How y'all
Yeah.
doing today? Y'all doing all
All
right?
right.
Doing
I'm doing
great.
great.
Okay, everybody, y'all know what to do. Follow, like, and share. Sharing is caring. I need y'all to get this out here, get the word out here, because this is going to be a treat. I'm going to take y'all for a ride. And if you want to call in, comment, and share, ask questions, call in to 678-888-1723. You're more than welcome. Um, this is a safe place, as I've always said, because at this table, your opinion matters. So make sure that y'all share this out here. If you're in YouTube, share. TikTok, share. Anywhere you're at. Facebook. I know I'm all over Facebook. So whatever platform on Facebook you are, share. Okay? Well, as you can see, today's topic is unalive by your own hand. But before we get started, can I tell a story? Y'all know I'm beginning to like to tell stories. Can I tell a story?
Storytelling time.
Yeah, it's storytelling time.
All
So if
right.
you got your wine or your drink of choice, I hope you got it because you might need to take a sip. You might need to take a sip because this one is going to impact you in a way, not to hurt you, not to cause any harm, but I do need to do this before I start the story because it might cause an impact to you. And see, we care enough to tell you that this might be a trigger warning for you. All right, that's your trigger warning. I hope I'm being seen. I was just told that we are freezing up and everything, so we're not gonna let the devil win this battle. We're gonna keep moving forward and pushing forward. So hopefully everyone is able to hear each and every one of us while we're giving what we have to give for today. But like I said, I had a story that goes in line with this um, because it was something that I watched. And this man who was a therapist, he was sitting there and he was talking to people, and he was telling people about this couple. And he had asked the husband permission to speak with his wife because this lady was hurting. She was hurting real deep, y'all. Really, 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 really deep because of some things that had happened in her life. And so she went on to tell him about how when she had her son, her son was a perfect kid. She knew he was going to have no problems out of him from the day he was born. So as life went on, this young man, he was stellar. He did everything, just did everything like just a perfect kid. Is what we parents say, what didn't cause no problems, no troubles or anything. The real bad troubles that some kids get into, he didn't do that. So moving on, he became a teenager, still doing his thing. And when he was grown, he went out here in the working world, went to college and everything. And so Logan will be back. And so when he went on to college and everything, he met this chick. Mom had a bad vibe about it. But, husband said, let it alone. Let this boy be a man. He'll figure it out. And so went on passing. They end up moving in together. Mom still having this bad feeling about this because son is beginning to change. Everything about him that was not him is just starting to change. And she's wanting to talk to him, but her husband is telling her, let a man be a man. He'll figure it out. So moving on forward, as time goes on, he's still with his chick. His mom does not care for her because all kind of warning signs is going off that something's not right about her. She's not good for her son. And some people may think that this woman was like got the child on her hip or she's being too motherly. But you know what? I'm gonna say this right here. When God gives you a warning about something, take heed. But back to the story. So moving forward, the son came in with exciting news. They were gonna have a baby. And the mom was like, okay. And something inside of her was telling her, this ain't my son's baby. She goes back to her husband because as women, when we are married and we're communicating, because this is not the son, and I forgot to tell you, this is not his father. This man met her when he was a little boy and took him on as his kid. And so he, directing him, he knows he's a good kid, talking about don't spoil him and all of this. But he said, if it's not his kid, he'll find out. That's not for you to say anything about. But things just not right because her child is not looking right. He's not, everything about him is just not right. And so as time moves on, the baby comes, mom goes to the hospital. She looks at this kid. Don't look like nothing like her son. She knows this is not his baby. But because husband said, don't say anything, she didn't say anything. And she was stern on the inside. And she saw that something wasn't right about her son. So going on down the line, her son comes home to her house and he's got a gash on his face, like somebody jumped him. So mom already worried, mom already upset, and she's been holding all this in, not able to talk to her son, and she went in. Son got upset, words were passed, and son left. They had it out, and he wouldn't even talk to his mom for a couple of months. So the husband did intervene on that part, and went and talked to the son and said, "That's your mom. That's your only woman, the only mother you got. You got to make amends on that." And in the process, when the son came back and he was telling his mama, he went on and said, "Mama, I don't think this is my baby." So then, mama said, "Get a DNA test," because young kids don't know. They don't know what to do sometimes, and we assume they do, but he didn't know. So even though he was looking like he was in this real bad place, because you can look at how this all was weighing on him. And so the mother, they went and did the DNA test and found out this wasn't his baby. So when the mother was telling the story and everything, and I forgot to say it from the beginning, the therapist, coach, or whatever you want to call him, said, "But you said you had a question." And she said, "How am I to live on when my son unalived himself? When he found out this wasn't his baby, he took his life by his own hands." And as y'all know, the video before this, I advised y'all to think. And the words that came to me and it's been resonating to me was, "Let the words of my mouth and the meditation of my heart be accepted by thy sight." That's in Psalms, I think it's 19:14. And to me, that speaks a lot about this, because the words from her mouth, it was a connection between her and her insides. And she never, because God was right there, she never spoke out because of other interference. When you know something, sometimes it's best to speak. Everything ain't a life lesson, especially when you know the type of child that you raise. What is your thoughts, Sharon?
Well, my thought is, I mean, I know she probably feels guilt
Mm-hmm.
because she felt like she could do more. She should have done more. And it's unfortunate that a lot of times we do blame ourselves for, these things that happen. But the truth is that although the mother knew her son, for him to unalive himself because of the child not being his, there were some other things that were going on in his life. And it's unfortunate that they didn't get a chance to talk about that.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe that's the guilt that she's carrying, because we know that it was more than just because when you you create a bond with a child. If you have a bond with that child, I mean, my children are not my husband's children, and and even if I was, if I got pregnant or something, and I think my husband found out that, no, it wasn't his child, he would still love the child because it wouldn't matter, because children just don't matter. Once they, now you may be mad as heck at the woman. I think it was probably the woman more so, he was upset about because it wasn't about the child. Because child, you can love a child and it don't be your own.
Mm-hmm.
But it was probably the betrayal and the hurt and everything that probably caused. But I think she was feeling guilt over something that she could not have controlled.
Mm-hmm.
And even though she probably felt like this was my fault, it's just like whichever way he did it, it's just like I did it. But as parents, we want to protect our children from the world. That's just like we find out that a child has been molested or something and you didn't know anything about it. You're trying to figure out where were the signs. And I guess in her case, she was like, I saw the signs and I didn't stop it.
Yeah.
So, but it's a parent's, first of all, it's a parent's worst nightmare to lose your child. So you never, and I, we always say with death, you don't ever get over it, because I'll never get over my parents' death,
Right.
but you learn to live with it.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that that's probably her question, not so much as how does she go on, but how does she learn to live with this?
Mm-hmm.
There's no closure and things like that. How do I learn to live with this? Because, I don't think that I could, if, as a parent, it would just be so hard. So, I guess I would not know how to answer that question. I
Mm-hmm.
wouldn't want to know how to answer that question because I would never want to have to experience that. So that's one of those ones where you say, I don't want to know the answer.
Right.
I'm scared for somebody to tell me that you can get past that, because I don't think that I could. I wouldn't, I guess in my mind, I wouldn't even want to. Um, and I know we have to live on and we have to go on, but as a parent, your heart is with your children.
Mm-hmm.
So probably the day that he left, her heart left.
Yeah.
And
And
I also worry about her mental with her husband, because her husband, in her mind, not only no, in her, even though he was doing what was right, that was right to not interfere, but you know, there's probably some animosity there. You didn't let me.
mm-hmm.
You didn't let me say anything. How
Mm-hmm.
dare you didn't let me? And now my son is gone. But who's to say if she had said something? We saw that it ended in an argument. Who's to say if she had interfered, it may have been something worse. So that was a hard one.
Yeah,
It's a
it's really really hard. But from when I think about it, and you know what, and you know me, I'm looking at the real. To me, it's a bigger picture in this, because you think about sometimes how we are raised and everything. Sometimes we have parents that have their hands all up in the midst, and then you have parents, like I have a parent who even said to me, well, I felt like it had been because it was done to me. I feel like you should have went through it yourself too, regardless of what the pain and anguish was. You should have had to go through it yourself. My thing is, as a parent, I'm a parent. I've been through a lot just to get mine here, and there's no way in this world, if I can stop something from happening, or at least saying, at least I opened my mouth and said something. I'm going to say something, and maybe he'll listen, you know, and not get an attitude about it or whatever, and take heed to what I'm saying. So whatever is going on in his life or may go on in his life, he can say, well, at least my mama did tell me, and I did this on my own, but she told me. You see what I'm saying? And a lot of people don't get that. Like you have things that happen to kids, and it's all the kid's fault. That's not that child's fault. Where was you at in the midst? You have people that's out here. That's why I said, because our words from our mouth, and you think about our heart, where is your heart at? If it's being accepted in thy sight, And that's who you looking toward. If you look to him, how is that being accepted in his sight if it's from your mouth, from your heart? And these are the things that you say, and you're not even putting any thought process to it. Where is he in the midst? And you at your own hands when you do things. You know how sometimes when we talk and stuff and we see things that happen, like whatever, but you know, where is God in the midst of all of that? Where is the higher power in the midst of all that? When you sit up here and you're not even understanding the things that come out your mouth, period. Whether it's positive, well, positive is positive, but even when it's negative, you are unaliving yourself by your own hands.
Yeah, that's why the rest of that scripture says, "Oh Lord, my strength, my redeemer,"
Yeah.
because it is about God's power that we are supposed. To be honest, we don't have any strength. We don't have anything to get past these things. We can't because
Mm-hmm.
we're human. We're not human divine.
Mm-hmm.
So um, it's by God's strength. It's by living hidden in Christ, allowing him to do things as us, for us, and through us. That's the only way we can get through some things. And but on a daily basis. And the way I would put it is that without being so overly spiritual and everything,
Mm-hmm.
prayer changes things. Simple. Prayer changes things. We have to pray to get to a point where we're able to say some things that, even though it may seem hard
Mm-hmm.
to address, we have to get to that point where we can say those things, because a lot of things could have been changed if
Yes.
if we say something.
Mm-hmm.
But we have to. There's a way to say it,
Mm-hmm.
because it shouldn't be coming from us. We should be allowing God to speak through us. Because if God is speaking through us, the person may not be receptive, but something gonna get through.
Mm-hmm.
They will, and eventually, if they have something in them, they'll recognize that this is right. you know you can't just go tell, like, I've had family members that came at me and told me what I was doing wrong when I went through a divorce.
Mm-hmm.
I had family members tell me what was going to happen with me because I was in a divorce. I'm going through a divorce, and what's not going to go. That's not speaking from God. That's speaking from your own thoughts, your own um opinions.
Mm-hmm. There's nowhere
You know,
that the three are aligned. Your mouth, your heart, and him. That those three are not in alignment. When you about what you're saying, it's not in alignment when you're talking on that. I can't hear you.
I was actually I had somebody coming through, so I was telling them to go on through.
It's okay. We do that sometimes. But I just, to me, it's like when I think about this and I think about everything that be going on, with everything, about how the attacks that we as black people have against us and stuff, and then we even co-sign as black people against certain things until we get the whole truth. We already have made our assumptions, that made our opinions, putting it out there in the atmosphere instead of letting the works work for itself. Let the atmosphere do what it has to do in order for the truth to come out. You already done set everything in stone. And you think about it, even like when kids get missing, oh, she just being fast, but she dead now. And it's still her fault because she dead, because nobody cared enough to go looking for her.
And the other thing, you're saying that story, let him be a man. We're so caught up in somebody having to show complete strength to be a man.
That
But
part.
Paul said it best, that in my weakness is when I'm the strongest. When I can actually show vulnerability, when I can show weakness, that's when I'm dependent on God. I need to be weak. And with African Americans, with black people, people of color, we are so against going and getting some help.
Pride.
mental health. Therapy is okay. It does not show a sign of weakness. Actually, you have to be really strong to make yourself vulnerable to open up to somebody that you may not even know, somebody that you don't even possibly trust in the beginning, but allowing yourself being vulnerable enough to go and get that help. And then also to recognize and acknowledge that it's something wrong with me.
Mm-hmm.
I got an issue because, like, I'm probably going to get help about my shopping addiction because I do have one, and but I acknowledge this. I got a
It,
problem.
it's not really a problem. It's not that the shopping is the problem. It's the flow. The money flow got to come on through.
That's it. But see,
It's the money.
even in that, we truly, and I was joking about that. But what I always say when it comes to things like that, there's an underlying issue when people have certain addictions,
Mm-hmm.
and unless you go and get help for these things, yeah, there are some people that can recover from addictions on their own, but and through the power of prayer, through meditation, and all of those things. But if you can't, you need to go get some help. And that young man hurting, and you're constantly hearing, I guarantee you, not only was stepdaddy telling the wife not to interfere each and every time, all while he was growing up, he may have taken care of him like he was his own, but he was always telling him, be a man about it.
Yeah. Be a man
So
about
he
it.
was holding stuff inside because he was trying to be a man about it. And that's when it got to the point where I'm a disappointment to my mother, because mama already put it out there in the atmosphere how she been feeling the whole time. And
Mm-hmm.
then when it came to daddy, now I fail because I want a man about this because I'm hurting them. I don't know how to deal with it, how to, you know, deal with this hurt and this pain. And this is showing the signs of weakness. I can't take this. We put pressure on people, telling them to be a man about stuff. We put pressure on people, telling them to suck it up. We
Mm-hmm.
put pressure on folks,
Yeah.
especially if your mental ain't right anyway.
Yeah. Because I remember, when certain instances of things that was going on when I was transitioning out of my marriage, I was told, shut up all that crying. You the strong one. You see what I'm saying? But you're the strong one. And, that's why I don't like crying around people, because of the fact that if I hear one more time, I might punch somebody in their throat. Because how dare you? And this is something that my therapist told me. I go to therapy. Shit, it ain't nothing wrong with it. I ain't ashamed of it. But that's something that she said. There's nothing to be ashamed of having emotions. You're supposed to have emotions. That's a hard thing for me. You know what I'm saying? But at the same time, some people don't get that. And you got people every day doing things. And it don't even have to be the unaliving. And don't think that when I said unalive by your own hands, it does not mean that you went to the other side to death, or to, and somebody had to grieve you in the funeral. It could be abuse to yourself, mentally and physically and spiritually, because of these things that go on, because of what people are saying and what people are doing. I get it. Because of the way that we are as a people, it's been hard. I get it. But at the same time, we should not be the detriment of our own. We supposed to uplift. That's what we say, right? Just like I uplift you, I uplift you. Ain't that what it's supposed to be all the way around? The tribe uplift the tribe. But outside of that, everybody else is in chaos because they too busy looking at wanting somebody to hurt worse than them, instead of being happy that somebody made it over, and they found some kind of peace of joy and happiness. You can't be happy for that. You want somebody just as miserable or worse because you get a kick out of that. Where is he in the midst of all of that? Where is your alignment in your heart? How does your heart feel about that? Logan, you got anything you want to say? You just sitting there.
I know I'm just sitting here listening to a perspective, and I keep on hearing man this, man that, be a
But
man
here's the
about it.
story. The story was about a young man. Remember that I told you about? It was about that, and then and just keeping it straight. It's a part of the key point, but
It and when you talking about a man versus a woman viewpoint and the issues that go through a man and why that a man have to be strong. Um, Men's itself a lot of times don't have the release valve as women have, or the communication as a woman have towards each other. And when you have, even if you're in a bunch of mans, if they have no reference point or experience concern about a matter, it's the same way that I had never experienced being 60 years old. So can I go to another 50-year-old man to get their experience? So in tribes, there comes a point when you go and talk to a 60-year-old man to
Yeah.
get some ideas what you're going to go through. And a lot of us mans don't have that type of avenue and that form of release. And going to the stepfather, um, off of recollection of the story itself, he had nothing else to give. And one of the things, there are a lot of things that is given that everything will be okay. Just be a man about it. We have said that so many times to mans, and women's hear that, honey child, it's gonna be all right. It's gonna be all right. And that becomes a norm. Well, that's fine, it's gonna be all right. It's fine to say it's okay. It's fine to keep on becoming a norm about it. But it's not fine when I need a solution to the issue that I'm dealing with. Not okay. Well, you got to just deal with it. Be a man about it. Well, hold it. You want me to hold it, but I need to talk to you about it. And a lot of times that cliche is used. I don't want to hear this, what you talking about. You got to deal with it your own. And a lot of times in life, as man goes up and being brought up to that certain stage, you learn on the fly, and you have nobody, nowhere to assist you moving up. Women say, if you look up how a woman is brought up into womanhood, into a ladyship, it's entirely different up. She's brought up with a baby doll. She trains with it. She plays with it. She caresses it. She gets to water. But if a boy that is growing up to a man get caught holding a baby, put that baby, you're a man. You ain't got no business. But one day, guess what? Don't he got to hold a baby if he's going to be a father to a child? No practice. He's very getting practice in life as a woman does. And he have to learn. And that learning causes a lot of pressure on him. If you don't have no release valve, a talk, yes, the mother said something to the father, his father. But the thing about it, she did what she thought was what best. But the child ended up giving up his life. There's so many people at all stages of life, and the only part that got echo in their head, be a man about it. Have a problem, you got to pay a bill. What I got to do? Be a man about it. Well, tell me what a man does. You got to be a man about it. He don't even know. And you keep on hearing that. I don't want to hear be a man about it. Give me a solution. Help me with a solution. And so many people on the street corners, they being mans about it because they acting that way because that's all they seen to rob, to get to rob Peter, Steve, Sue, Ann, Jan. That's all. Some of us is not brought in that type. For the same thing as you robbing your life. You concentrate on something that you shouldn't have to deal with by yourself. I want to stop right there.
You okay? What's your
But that's
thought?
just something that we have to learn, that when man's need to have groups or have someone that he can confirm in to teach him how to deal with. Man's, when they grow up, you have to deal with people, all different situations, all levels of life. And a lot of times, as you say, a man wants respect. I dealt with somebody, for example. You could just look over me. You just could have reached over my plate. Instead of arguing with him, I said one word: I'm respecting you. Not a no. He didn't say a number word, another word, but sit there and thought, because I was giving his plate respect. Yes, it was covered up,
Still
but
on
still,
the line.
I was giving him respect. He probably realized I didn't respect my food. A lot of things we not learn how to respect. When we have to teach our young men how to respect their life, that is more in life than what they see and imagine. Just instead of just being a man about it.
Okay.
And I think I totally agree with you, Logan, regarding um, everything you said. But one other piece that stuck out, they don't know how.
Yeah.
That right there is so, that is so impactful because they don't know how. That's powerful. Um, Unfortunately, people do mimic what they've seen. And unless we have that relationship, like I said, not trying to be too churchy, but if you only had a relationship with God, we always say we won't let what we see hinder what we believe. Our belief is different.
Mm-hmm.
We'll have people that are, living in, situations, or like you said, fighting, and you see your parents steal parts of gangs and stuff. You see this, but allowing Holy Spirit to get in there, you know that this ain't right based on what the word said. This ain't right. This ain't the life I'm supposed to have. But my life is supposed to be prosperous and not to harm me. Then I wouldn't be put in situations where I got to fight for my life daily and look over my shoulder. That wouldn't happen. So I won't let what I see hinder what I believe. And then the other part in that um, is that sometimes by not telling people the truth about things, you set unrealistic expectations of how life is supposed to be. When I was young, my parents never, ever argued in front of me. My parents never fought. I always saw daddy come home on his paycheck day and put his paycheck on the table. Mama would simply take it. Well, for a child seeing this life that was never any strife, that is what my idea of what marriage looked like.
Yeah.
That when I got married, this is what automatically happens. You marry somebody, they bring their paycheck home, you pay all the bills, and
That ain't what
every
happened.
time you go to the bank, it's the money there.
Uh-huh.
That was my expectation of marriage. I never
Right.
heard my dad call my mama out of her name. I never heard him I never saw my mama pump gas. I never saw those things. So when I went into a marriage and it was none of that, we couldn't even keep a bank account for it constantly getting shut down because of insufficient funds. It
Mm-hmm.
was like I was set, I was messed up. That this is not, we set unrealistic expectations when we don't discuss things with
With our
children.
children. Yeah.
Yeah, we have to tell them. And when we have certain kids to say something about, like me and my husband, we get along really well, and we tried our best not to allow them to see the arguments and stuff. And when we separate, they couldn't understand why. Let me tell you, because we don't get along sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes we get on each other's last nerve. Sometimes you're gonna have problems, because when they will call us and they will open up and finally talk to us, you have to be truthful. Yes, you're
Mm-hmm.
gonna have hard times, and yeah, people gonna disappoint you. If
Mm-hmm.
those conversations could have been had with this young man, because he's looking at a wife who's literally obeying her husband. She's probably lived her whole life of what he saw, that being his mama and his stepdad, but he was there. His mama listened to her husband. His mama respected her husband. Somehow I failed because this woman don't respect me.
Mm-hmm.
There have been plenty of times that there's been disrespect, but y'all hid it or whatever you did. You
Mm-hmm.
could should have told him the truth. Yeah, there gonna be times that you and your wife ain't gonna get along. You know what? If you feel like she doing something wrong, say something.
Mm-hmm.
You need to have those discussions because it wouldn't have gotten to this point because somehow he had decided not, I don't know if he was blinded or he just didn't want to see because the mama saw it the whole time. And the fact that the dad was saying don't say it, he saw it too.
Mm-hmm.
He
But
just
you
was saying
shouldn't
don't say
want
it.
your children to go. And I understand minding your own business. I get that because
Yeah.
I was told that I think I wouldn't have went through the whole lot of the bull crap that I went through. I don't think I would have went through all that if somebody had to just open their mouth instead of saying keep your married affairs to yourself. I remember later on Cedric said if you had told me that happened, I could have got you out of that. But I didn't know. You know what I'm saying? I didn't know. And a lot of people think that when you 22, 23, 24, 25, or even 26, that you supposed to know everything there is. You don't know crap. Just like my parents had their ups and downs, but the one thing that was trying true, just like your daddy did, because this is what Logan men do. They bring them checks home. And I remember distinctly going to my dad and I said, well, what's wrong with this? Because I'm working and I don't get to keep any of my funds like my mama do. And he spends all the money. And I don't get to do anything that I have to get a second job. I had to get a third job, in order to make ends meet. And it wasn't but two of us. But he was draining everything dry. And daddy said, all marriage is not the same. You gotta go to him and talk to him to get that worked out. You know what I'm saying? It don't To me that didn't make sense. you know, so roles switched in my head later on after I thought about it. Roles switched. I became the provider. Whereas I was brought up because even to this day, every last one of the Logans I know, they provide. Excellent providers.
Let me interject something.
Go ahead.
And the reason I want to interject right there is the roles of a lot of men have switched. And I'm not knocking against single mothers. Mothers, I give you a hand clap. Baby got back. I ain't talking about the rear end. I'm talking about how she had to stand up to take care of her family and do what she need to do. And males see their mother. A lot of males see their mothers do any and everything, and some of them hates that they see their mother doing that, and they switch the roles, slowly switch the roles, and say, "Mom, I'm going to do that." From the dope dealer to the race guy, if you notice, and a lot of mothers don't want to accept, "Mama, you work hard." He slinging dope on the street and don't want to see his mom. I'm tired of seeing you scrubbing white people floors, washing their clothes,
Mm-hmm.
wherever form you want to put that in. But the most simple form that comes to my head, washing their floors, washing their clothes. You get up, you barely go to sleep, and then you have another child looks at it. Well, a woman's supposed to provide because he's seeing his mother. And he doesn't have an actually man figure because his uncle's doing it. Everybody around them that they see, they hanging out on the street, but the woman going to make ends meet. Come home, she works all day, and he comes home off the street, ain't did nothing but hang out with a can of beer in his hand. And he comes home when she think he got some food on the table, and guess what he want? What's dinner?
Yep.
where's dinner? She gets frustrated and everything.
But
And,
she wrong in all that.
right. And some guys see that, and some women don't say nothing. Some of them finally have the nerves to get rid of it. But at the same time, mans have to have mans, not an imitation man, not an imitation man, not someone just of age, mentally grown up and functional as a man to do what he need to do. It's fine. It's lovely if you got a woman gonna work two jobs and you working four to make ends meet.
Mm-hmm.
But us as black males have to learn learn how to communicate. Two, if you want to bang that woman, you need to get the stage front before you put a ring around it, because she may not want to deal with the issues when you know you ain't gonna lead her to nothing but frustration. We have enough fight with poverty, because poverty gonna always be there to fight you. She got stress already with children. You ain't got to worry about, but stress gonna always be there to fight. So when you know how to communicate and both of y'all is on the same page, gearing to fall, if you fall forward. But so many relationships end up falling backwards because there's no communication, of falling apart because there's no communication. Children see and don't know how to communicate with each other. Even the parent don't know how. A lot of parents don't know how to communicate with the children, and we take these social words and spit it off and give her our children.
Well, why are you saying that? Petronella said all children are not raised with communication skills. Therefore, children are now adults and don't know how to communicate or work out a relationship.
A lot of our black, yes, indeed, a lot of our black children is raised up, supposed to be a child, and got to be an adult. It's a shame that you got to be an adult at age 13 and 12.
But we had to do it.
I know we had to do it, but that is coming a social norm. That's coming a social norm, and both parents ain't working.
Mm-hmm.
Both parents and even both parents that work on that one parent don't even check in with the child because they too tired when they get through.
Mm-hmm.
Don't even check to see is everything okay. One of the worst things when you can get me to do when my kids was at home, when they was at home and going to school, that I get a call from work and got to go down to school because it was going to be trouble, because you just disrupted the household finance, because you didn't know how to sit in the chair and behave yourself. And we have to explain they don't reflect on just you. That's reflect on the whole household. And a lot of people don't know that what you actually do out in the community reflects on your community. And
Mm-hmm.
the world takes advantage of that. Every time we turn around, another community talking about the black community.
Yeah.
And we too busy yipping yapping about everybody else. Ain't doing jack about our own community.
True.
The church say the charity starts at home. Everything started at home. You just got to figure out where home is. Sometimes the home is yourself, within yourself. And we got to get that straight. Then it can spread abroad.
That's true. That is so true.
And I think with communication, um, back when we were children, there was a lack of communication because what happens at the house stays at the house. And they swept so many things under the rug. They didn't want you don't talk about that. We experienced that when we were even uncovering and looking at our family history. That's not something you talk about,
That part.
so that's where there was a lack of communication. But then as children got older, I mean, as the generations changed, then all of a sudden people want to be their children's friends.
And who does that?
Yeah, you want to be your children's friend. So instead of communicating, y'all just laughing, giggling, and talking to each other. And then the child is doing whatever they want. And it's okay
No, it's not.
because we cool like that and all of that. And that's why I just give them their space and all that. No, we ain't have no space. No doors shut,
Mm-mm.
you know. And it's almost like one generation, even though they raised us, and I think they raised us well, but
Mhm.
not telling us things actually did some hurt to us as well.
Right.
Then children went through this stage of where you were the children's friend, and the communication still wasn't there. And then in this here generation, you expose your children to everything. It
Mm-hmm.
Nothing is off limits. Just give
Yeah.
them a phone and give them access to porn. Give them access to anything. Just give them access to get the trafficking because you just give them total access instead of sitting them down and talking. It's like we still haven't gotten it right.
No.
It's almost we need to combine all of them. You need the strictness. Some things do need to stay in the household.
Yeah.
There are times they need to be a friend enough that they feel comfortable to come to you, but not a friend enough that they can cuss and call you by your first name.
Right. And I don't
But
even
then,
think it has to be a friend. It's
yeah,
all about the safe
respect.
space and the respect. If
It's
you
the
give
respect.
it, that's with even if it's not even just the children, that's in any relationship. If I feel safe enough to say, Sharon, this is going on with me, I don't feel right about this. I know in confidence that you're gonna help me find my peace. You're gonna help
Mhm.
me be okay and calm with that. Or I come to Cedric and say, this, that, and the third is going on. I know that he's not going to judge me. I know he's not going to ridicule me or chastise me because he's going to be okay, sis. But let's work this out. Let's get this worked out. That's where we have the disconnect when it comes with our children. Yes, I chastise mine. He's 22 years old. I will get down in his skin about something when I feel like it's wrong, but I'm not arguing with him. I'm not yelling at him. When I say I get down in his skin, I'm talking to him. The one thing that I do is I talk and I go in depth, because I want him to get the understanding that I have a problem with this turn that you made, and I know where it's going to lead. Now it's up to you if you decide that you want to keep on down there. But look, I'm letting you know. And then 9 out of 10, like he has been before, Mama, you were right.
That's
You were
usually
right.
what we get. Yeah,
Yeah.
Mama, you was right.
But to be a friend, I told him I'll never be your friend. You better find Jesus. I'll never be your friend. I'm your mama. That's my job. I am not trying to be your friend. But you can come to me about anything. I got you. And I want him to be safe that way. And everybody should be that. You should have that. Your tribe should be that way. You should have that. And a lot of people don't get that. They don't get to have that safe space with people.
You're a pitiful friend. A parent want to be a friend to a child. You're a pitiful friend. Because a true friend don't let their friend get in trouble.
That's true.
Yep.
True friend will stand up when you're doing something wrong. They know they're wrong.
That and that's exactly kind of what I was like. If I'm gonna be that friend, I need to be that friend that I can tell you, we have that relationship. And I think, I don't call myself my children's friend either, but we have a relationship that's where we can talk.
Open door.
You we have an open,
Mhm.
and we always say no judgment, no judgment zone. Well, I do have a judgment zone. I do when it comes to my kids. It's yeah, I'm gonna judge. Yeah, I'm being honest with you. Yeah, I'm a
I
judge.
get
Yeah,
it.
I'm a chastise. Yeah, I'm not gonna agree, and that's what I'm there for. Because if you're coming and say, well, that's why we don't say nothing to you. Well, no, that's why you need to say something to me. Because if I'm showing myself friendly, what the Bible says, show yourself friendly. Ain't that what a friend, like Cedric, ain't that what a friend's supposed to do? Tell you the truth about it.
Right.
Yeah, you stink.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know,
That part.
yeah, that look bad. don't go out there with that on.
Yeah.
Go and get some
So
soap and water. Smell like you oughta.
Mm-hmm.
yeah, that's what a friend do. I'm showing myself friendly,
Hmm.
and yeah, I'm judging. Yeah, you don't need to do that
And and
because I
some
know
people
it's
don't get that. They get upset about that. Why are you getting upset with me being honest? I remember in college I did that with a girl, and everybody didn't want to tell her. And I said, look, if y'all letting this girl come around us, I ain't asked her to come around me. Now she inviting herself in here and she smelling a certain type of way. Somebody got to tell her, and I guess it's just gonna be me. And she was fire hot mad with me because I told her, and she was like, "Well, I just feel like you being very disrespectful." No, I'm not. I'm not being disrespectful. And at the end of the day, she realized I was more friends than the one she considered her friends because I told her. And then she had to hear the people talking about her behind her back when I came to her face and told her, you know, it,
yeah. We've been talking about you. We've been talking about you being
yeah,
stinky. Hey, yeah, we've been doing it,
yeah.
and you don't smell that.
That's what my question was. You don't smell it? Really?
A lot of people can't smell.
No, baby. They need to
I
clean
get
their
your
nose
point,
out.
but check this out. And reason I say that because even we say that you smell something smell fishy around here. I'm using a cut, something smell fishy around here, and you can't smell it. You can't smell trouble when you is the trouble. So you can't smell funk when you put it out the funk. You can't tell you the devil when you
No
is
point.
the devil.
No point.
So a lot of people don't know what they is, and they call the undefiled life in their hand,
I'm not.
and
Yeah,
and,
that's
and,
a point.
and,
That's a
and
good
they
point.
doesn't
Yep.
realize
Say it
they
again.
Coming
can't
back to
get
the point.
nowhere
We coming back.
because they won't change. They don't want to change the way they move, and they don't want to change the way the people around there. You're gonna have to change. Just because you hung around skunk don't mean you're a skunk. The cat on Looney Tune looked like a skunk, but when she met a skunk, she knows she was a skunk. She was running away from that skunk, no matter how that skunk love her and want to be with her. Little Pooh, she loved that cat that looked like a skunk, but she realized I'm not a skunk. I got to get the hell out of here. So how many times if we got to, you got to do what you got to do to get the hell out of town sometime. So how many times are us game changers gonna hang around a bunch of skunk and you know you ain't no skunk? Game changers. Change the game.
Mm-hmm.
The game ain't smelling yourself. A lot of us are smelling ourselves. So you need to go and dip in the water. I don't care how many times you're gonna dip, but take some soap with you.
Yeah.
I'm gone.
Where you going?
Yeah. But yeah, with our topic unaliving at your own hands, I do think that sometimes we we kill our own dreams. We kill our own, purpose.
Yeah.
We do it
Yeah.
by all of the things that we've discussed: lack of communication, lack of structure, lack of focus,
Mm-hmm.
lack of just being honest with not only ourselves but with other people,
Mm-hmm.
sweeping things under the rug, not being a man about it, not well telling people to be a man about it. Telling people to be a man about it is not being a man about it. So it's a lot of things we do that, and we can't carry the guilt. No, we got to get past the guilt. We have to forgive ourselves, and that's part of getting past. You know, like I said, I don't think you'll ever get over anything like that, but at least you figure out how to live with it. Because if that mother continues to carry that with her, she'll find herself on the verge of wanting to unalive herself too.
Mm-hmm. But it's a
Because of
hurtful
that.
thing when you should have
It's a hurt.
spoken and you didn't.
Yeah, because I mean, and I know that there's plenty of us have seen people that were probably victims of abuse or victims of different things, and we didn't say anything because it wasn't our place or what you was taught. It ain't
Felt like
your,
it wasn't
ain't none of your business.
right.
So that's all I have to say.
Okay. But you know what my thing have always been sometimes is that I'm gonna say something because I need my conscience clean. I don't wanna I don't wanna be that one that I saw something and I didn't at least say something. You know what I'm saying? Because my heart, I can't. And I know I'm very direct and to the point about how I say things. And I guess that's why even in my head right now it's still echoing. Let the words of my mouth, meditation of my heart be accepted in thy sight. I'm saying it and I don't even know if people understand it, what I'm saying when I say that. If you let the words of your mouth and it's meditating in your heart and you take it to God, what else is it? Because he right there. He's your redeemer. He's your strength. He's everything. What else is it?
And
It's
you
just
can't
right.
have that scripture without ending it because that's where it ends. It begins with that meditation of the heart, but it ends with him being your strength and your redeemer. And
But
then
you
we
first
use
got to
that
get the
word.
first three before you can get to that.
You
Because if
got
you let the
to.
words of your mouth meditate in your heart,
That's
it's just
starting
like
off
me
with
saying,
that.
I don't like you. You make me sick. And I'm constantly saying that. That meditates in my heart. So how is that going to be when I'm praying to God about things that's going on in my life? How is that being accepted in His sight? Make that make sense. So how can He be your strength and your redeemer?
You got to get there.
I'll wait. Let the words of my mouth meditate in my heart, be accepted in His sight. Words, heart, His sight. I don't know how else to put it because to me it makes perfect sense. And I just wish it was quit yelling in my head because God, I done said it so many times. I think they supposed to get it. So please, if this is something else you want me to say to them in a different way, please let me know because I don't know what else to say. And I mean, it is loud. It is loud. Y'all need to hear me when I say this because you are unallowing yourself in ways that you don't even know. You just don't know. And I'm not saying going to the upper room. I'm saying you are causing havoc in your life and you're causing issues in your life. You're causing problems in your life that doesn't have to be there mentally, spiritually, financially, emotionally because of the words that comes out your mouth that's meditating in your heart. Something's got to give and something's got to change, especially if you're looking for Him. Because I'm always telling him, don't do it without me. Whatever he doing in this season, don't do it without me. So, I don't know. Hopefully something resonated to y'all. So hopefully y'all got the lesson. It seemed like it was far-fetched, but this all meshed together if you think about it. It all meshed together. If something had been said, something could have been different. Because the words from her mouth was meditating in her heart, but she was shut down. Instead of going to who she believed and allowing him to speak through her. But it's what's done is done. But we can help more people to get that understanding so they can get there and they can do better in life. So I hope that this helped y'all. I hope y'all had a good time with this Wind Down Wednesday. We'll be back next week, Wednesday, with another topic. Once I get confirmation, it might be Knowledge Power Hour, financially free for 23. We can talk about the kids. That's all I'm going to say. on that part. But hopefully, what I'm praying this confirmation come on through, and we're able to get this done, because that's going to be a thrill. But if it ain't, we coming back, and then y'all keep the topics flowing. I really appreciate y'all giving me things to talk about. I really do appreciate it. I'm gonna try my best to have the crew do the best works that they can. I think that they did a great job with this. I really do. I appreciate y'all. Mimi the Core and Logan. I think you did a great job. So
Okay.
same time, same place, 7 o'clock on Eastern Standard Time, 6 o'clock Central Time. Let's bring it to the table, brought to you by Exquisite Taste Network. And we out here. Always remember, leave the table when respect is no longer being served. But if it's your table, get them jokers up off of it. All right. Good night.